Finding My Name by Michael Kinney. Chapter 3. The Night Walk. There comes a point in every childhood when you stop believing adults can solve every problem. I reached that point before I was old enough to tie my shoes. By then, the yelling had become part of our house. It started with voices from another room, then doors, then things hitting walls. I learned to listen for changes in the sound. Even as a little kid, I could tell the difference between an argument that would end on its own and one that wouldn't. I never remember thinking someone should do something. I remember thinking I have to. Somewhere along the way, I had decided it was my job to protect my mom. If Dad was angry, maybe I could distract him. Maybe if he yelled at me, he would stop yelling at her. Maybe if he hit me, he wouldn't hit my mom. Children don't think in terms of sacrifice. They just try to fix the world with whatever tools they have. Mine was simply stepping into the middle. One night that wasn't enough. I don't remember what started the fight. I don't know if anyone does anymore. I only remember the feeling that the house had become dangerous. I did what I had done before. I got between them. This time, Dad dragged me by my throat and threw me across the living room. Even now, writing those words feels strange. Not because I don't understand it, I don't remember it, but because I can't imagine doing that to a 3-year-old. I hit the floor, crying and furious. Not because I was hurt, because he had hurt my mom. Something inside me decided that waiting for the yelling to stop wasn't an option anymore. So I ran, barefoot, out the front door into the night. The streets of Warren looked completely different in the dark. During the day, they were familiar. That night, they felt enormous. The light poles stretched into the sky like giants. Their yellow circles of light barely touched the ground before disappearing back into darkness. Every stretch between them felt longer than it should have. I walked to my pawpaw's house what felt like 1,000,000 times before. Just never alone, and never at night. The darkness didn't scare me. Dad did. I cried as I ran, but I never questioned where I was going. My feet already knew the way. I just kept moving, one barefoot step after another, until I reached the only place that made sense in my little mind. I pounded on the door. When my Meemaw and Pawpaw opened it, they weren't expecting to find a barefoot 3-year-old standing there alone. I don't remember my exact words, but they've been told back to me enough times that they've become part of my memory. Dad's hitting Mom, and he threw me by my throat across the living room. For a moment, nobody moved. They were trying to understand what they were seeing. A little boy, barefoot, crying, standing on their doorstep after walking across town alone in the middle of the night. Then everything happened at once. My pawpaw, my Uncle Bob, my Uncle Kelly. The shock turned into action. I don't remember every detail of what happened next. Adults have their own version of that night. What I know is this. Dad went for a ride with my pawpaw and my uncles. Whatever was said during that ride stayed between them. But something changed. The next time I saw Dad, he was different. Kinder, quieter, gentler. For a while, it almost felt like the man who used to make my mom laugh had come back. Looking back now, I wonder if everyone thought the worst was behind us. Maybe they believed fear had taught him a lesson. Maybe they believed our family had survived its hardest night. Not long after that, Dad convinced my mom that we should move to Bell City, closer to his family. It sounded like a fresh start. I was too young to understand that sometimes a new address doesn't change anything. Sometimes it's the only thing that moves, is the place where the hurting happens. There was a brief stretch of time when life almost felt normal. We moved in with Mammy and Pappy for the first time in a long while. Life slowed down. They lived out in the country where there weren't any neighbors, just gravel roads, fields, a little bit of woods that seemed to stretch forever. It was a strange adjustment after living in town. There was something peaceful about it. Several members of Dad's family lived there too. And there was almost always someone to joke with, play with, or find an adventure alongside. Looking back, it's one of the few chapters of my childhood that isn't overshadowed by fear. Dad hardly drank while we lived there. For a while, it felt like we'd escaped the life we'd been living. But peace was never something that lasted long.